Hi, and welcome back to Ask Dr. B. This is another video in this series on well-being because here at the Weeby channel, we are all about well-being, and this series is focused specifically on how to think about well-being overall and how to think about the specific elements that affect each of us every day. Our goal at Weeby is to help you learn how to think about these elements, how to track them every day, how to share them with people you trust, because that's a really healthy thing to do, and how to find out what works best for you. So today is about physical health. People think about their physical health differently. For some people, the focus is really on, am I sick? Am I physically well? Is anything hurting? If not, I'm good. Other people, it's really about optimizing their physical fitness. So they may feel like if I'm going and doing whatever my workout is and doing the regimen that I've chosen for myself to stay physically fit, then I'm good. A lot of us are somewhere in the middle. We might really try to work hard to stay fit and engage in healthy habits. And also, as long as we're feeling like we're not sick and overall we're doing good. So that's the first thing to know, that you might, have different standards. When you think about rating, your physical health, it differs based on how you think about it. Another thing that's important to know is that most of us understand that if we are not physically well, it is affecting us physically. Duh, that makes sense. You may not think about how your physical health actually affects the other elements of your overall well-being. What do I mean by that? If you are not physically well, just even think about being sick. So many people in the last 2 years have dealt with COVID, run down, lousy, achy, fever. Just being physically sick can affect your mood, your emotional experience, right? Your mood, um, just how you think about yourself, how good you feel about yourself. It can also affect your ability to concentrate. Um, it affects your energy level, your emotional energy level. Being sick can affect your relationships. You may not have the energy to take care of others the way you normally do, or even engage with others or be interested in others. And they may have trouble connecting with, relating to you when you're sick if they're not. That may cause some tension, some friction. Obviously, all these things can be talked about, which is what we encourage, but it can have an effect. Your physical health can also affect your sleep. When you're not physically well, it can affect how well you're sleeping or not. It can affect your activity level. You may not have the energy to go out and do anything, and so you may not be getting enough exercise. It can even affect your spirituality. It can affect how you think about, your faith-based beliefs, depending on if you're dealing with a chronic illness or a chronic condition. It can challenge your faith. It can challenge how you think about spirituality. So again, that's why we're having these conversations, to help us think overall, because if we understand these things, if we pay attention to these things, this package of understanding, awareness, tracking, sharing is really good for our overall well-being, and that's good for our communities, our families, our world. Okay. So we've talked a little bit already about thinking about it. So what does it look like if someone really feels excellent about their overall physical health? So might be somebody who feels this way. They may say, my physical health is good. I'm fit. I have no significant health issues. I'm pleased with my lifestyle choices. I'm able to maintain healthy habits. I see my doctor for regular visits on a regular basis. Or, okay, that's one, could be excellent. Or I have some serious health concerns, but I have a good plan. I'm managing them. I have a good support team. Okay, so again, people think about it differently, but if you feel excellent, it might sound like that. What about somebody who feels kind of fair, kind of in the middle? They may report, my physical health is not what I'd like it to be. I'm not pleased with some of my life choices. I believe I would be better physically. I'd feel better if I took better care of my body. I want to make better choices. I believe that I'll succeed. So you can hear there's a mixture of not real thrilled with how I'm doing, but I'm hopeful that I'll do better. Or it could be my physical health is affected by an acute or moderate condition, an injury or an illness. So maybe, they broke a leg or an arm, or they've got some sort of chronic condition that flares. So I don't feel great right now. I'm taking care of myself. I have support. I believe I'll feel better soon. So again, they're not feeling good, but they are hopeful. They have, they know sort of what they need to do. And then there are people, sadly, who feel overall daily poor about their physical health. What might that sound like? I have a serious health condition and I'm struggling to manage it. I don't have a plan I feel good about, or perhaps I don't have an effective support system. I'm in pain or I feel physically ill much of the time. So that what it could look like for somebody who reports that their physical health is poor. Or I have unhealthy habits and I feel physically poor much of the time. I don't have a good plan for change. I'm concerned about the long-term implications of my poor health habits. So, we might know people who they don't take good care of themselves at some level. They know they don't have a plan. Maybe they don't have the motivation. Maybe there are other things contributing to why they don't. So when you think about this for yourself, and soon you'll be able to go on Weeby and actually note how you're feeling every day about these various things. You'll be able to rate them. This hopefully will help give you a frame. Okay. Regardless of our current state, our current physical state, we all can and really should practice healthy habits as healthy habits to affect us physically as much as we can. I know it's hard. That's why they call it practice. You got to practice. You got to reward yourself. You got to stick with it. So here's some of the things that you can do no matter where you are on the spectrum. And if you do these things regularly, at the very least, it's going to help you feel as best as you can. That's the least you can expect. And at the other end of the continuum, it may really improve how you feel physically overall. So top of the list, of course, eat healthy foods. Got to put healthy stuff in you if you want to feel healthy. So if you don't know what that means for you, there's tons of information out there that you can find on healthy eating. So practice healthy eating. Stay physically fit. Doesn't mean you have to go to the gym every day. Find out what works for you. Eating, biking, swimming. I swim. That's what I do now. I used to do other things, but swimming, I listen to music while I swim. Anyway, that's me. Run, bike, walk. Did I say walk? Dance, garden, take your dog on hikes. Whatever works for you, practice it. Make it intentional so that it's good for you. Those endorphins are good for you. The working out your body, the working different muscle groups, all very, very healthy. Okay. Get enough rest. Sleep is critical. Sleep is critical. Really, it is. It affects you in so many ways. It affects us and how our bodies are recovering, helps us be more focused, better concentration, helps our cells recover, all kinds of good things about getting enough sleep. Limit your alcohol consumption. We know this for all kinds of reasons that too much alcohol use can cause serious health effects, very serious health effects. So this isn't saying, don't ever have a drink or a glass of wine or a beer or enjoy spirits occasionally, but watch it, because chronic use and misuse of alcohol can cause serious, really damaging, destructive health consequences. Don't smoke. But if you do, try to quit. And if you can't quit immediately, don't give up. It often takes many, many times before people are successful. There are lots of tips and tools, but smoking is another one of those things, long-term negative consequences. Good news about smoking is whenever you quit, your lungs start to heal. I know how hard it can be to quit smoking, drinking, but there are tools and tips, and it is worth it. Get support, get the help, make sure you give up unhealthy habits and throw in some of these healthy habits. Use sunscreen. Not a joke. The sun, we need it. It's good vitamin D, but it also can be very bad, not just for our skin, but for skin cancers and other things. So use sunscreen. Keep your immunizations up to date. Immunizations are really important. They help protect us from getting things that we don't need to get, and they help minimize the impact of things that we still may get. We've seen that with COVID. You get your immunization, you get that vaccine. Even if you get sick, you don't get as sick, you don't end up in the hospital. So keep up to date on your immunizations and get regular health checks, no matter what your age. But obviously, the older you get, make sure you get in there and get checked out and find out what you need to do to take good care of your health. Okay, so now we're moving along in this physical health journey. Let's say that we're not feeling well, we don't feel great, and we don't know why. It's hard to maybe put our finger on what's going on. So a couple of things I just want to comment on about that. It's really, really important to try to be a good detective about what may be going on. Don't ignore it, I guess, is the main point here. Rule out other things. If there have been changes in your life, maybe your stress levels are up, maybe you're not sleeping as much. Maybe there's an underlying health condition that if you stop and think about what are the symptoms here, what are the determinants, what's your presentation, what's going on, and what could that mean? Get in to see a health professional early. Don't wait. If you're not feeling well chronically, over a period of time, there's probably something going on. Women often, have an iron deficiency, and so they feel lousy, and they go in and it's like, gee, they don't get enough iron in their systems. It could be any number of things. So be a good detective for yourself, and then go see someone early. Do some research, look at the symptoms, but be careful. Little research online can lead us down paths that maybe it's not bad. Maybe it's not this horrible thing over here. It could be a little thing over here, but do some research, try to get some ideas, and then go see someone. Let's say that you feel poorly because of lifestyle changes. Lifestyle habits, sorry. And you feel like you want to make some changes. You know that you don't eat well, you don't get enough sleep, maybe you drink too much, maybe you smoke. There are all kinds of lifestyle changes that perhaps could make you feel better. So what do you do about that? How can you make those changes? They're hard to make. We know this. Habits are very hard to break. Do research about whatever it is, whether it's smoking or not exercising or poor eating habits, any of those things. Do research. There's so much out there now that can be of help to you. Get support. Talk to people that that you trust. How did they address a habit they were trying to break? Maybe get involved in an actual support group. Support groups are wonderful. Our support in general, our own informal support groups, can be very helpful in helping us address challenges, habits, to let people know you're working on something. They'll cheer you on. They want you to succeed. It makes everybody feel good. It's an upper, it's a positive. Reward yourself in healthy ways when you make progress. Don't be hard on yourself when you backslide. If you try it and you fail, I mentioned smoking earlier, very hard to quit smoking. If you try and then you fail, it happens. Get back up. Try again, or maybe at least cut down. Don't try to do too much too soon. Keep a journal so you can see your progress. It helps us to see how well we're doing. It pulls us forward. And pay attention to your emotional experience. Those factors could be contributing to your overall sort of poor lifestyle choices. What do I mean by that? When we're down, when we're depressed, when we're anxious, we don't have the energy to take care of ourselves. We may not feel good enough about ourselves to take care of ourselves. So if that's the case, look at some of the other videos that I've posted about these various challenges, anxiety and trauma, relationships that are destructive, and get help for yourself. You deserve that. And then you may have the energy to tackle some of these other issues. The last thing I want to touch on is really for people who feel poorly because they're dealing with a chronic health condition. That is so challenging and so very difficult. So you may feel bad because there are things physically going on, a chronic illness, a chronic condition that you're dealing with. And it affects you physically, but it also can affect these other elements, as I've talked about. So many things change when we're dealing with a chronic health condition. You have to deal with the change in lifestyle. Maybe you were very active before and now you can't be. Maybe it affects what you're able to do physically. Maybe it affects the kind of work you can do. Maybe you're now, in a way, unable to engage in relationships the way you were before. So your relationships change. So many things can change. Also, it affects the way we manage ourselves. It may make it harder to manage day-to-day stress. We may be dealing with medications. Medications have side effects. That may be contributing to all these other challenges, affecting our sleep, affecting our appetite. These are really hard things. So I first of all just want to call that out and say, just recognize how hard that is for yourself. And if you know somebody who's dealing with chronic conditions, a chronic condition, please keep this in mind and offer your support. Also, what makes it often difficult in relationships is your symptoms, your exhaustion, the things that are affecting you may not be visible to others. And so people may not understand what you're going through and may get either frustrated or impatient. So what can you do to manage not just the physical side that you've got to do, obviously, but the other elements that I mentioned at the top of this video? Make sure you have a healthcare team that you trust, a holistic approach. Used to be those didn't exist in healthcare, but now they do. So make sure your team is focused on a holistic approach so that they're talking to you about your emotional health and well-being, your social health and well-being. Make sure that you have someone who can serve as an advocate for you with your healthcare team. It's exhausting to have these chronic conditions that we have to deal with in life. Having someone, a family member, a friend, or more than one who trade off, who help you navigate, make sure you're getting the best care physically and emotionally, really important. Get the support you need and deserve. Consider joining a support group of people who have the same kind of situation that you do so that you learn from each other, support each other. And finally, make sure that you explore the alternative types of care that really are focused on the holistic notion of well-being. So add meditation or journaling or music therapy or art therapy or acupuncture or creative expression. All of those work for some people. Find what works for you. You deserve to make use of all the resources that are available now to help you manage, in addition to the physical challenge, the emotional and well-being challenges that you're facing. Finally, chronic conditions, all health conditions, can interact with and exacerbate or be exacerbated by mental health challenges. So if you are managing a physical health condition, you also may be noticing how you feel more depressed, more down, more anxious, even potentially hopeless. Please pay attention to how those interact, the emotional health, the physical health. They can support one can support the other. They can also have a negative effect. So make sure you're paying attention to that, getting professional help to help you manage that side, because we are a holistic system. So that's it. That's a lot. Hope this was helpful to you and yours. Thank you for tuning in, for your questions. And thank you for caring about well-being. Take care.